Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Thanks for joining us for Donnybrook. This is where every week we gather around a big table, we set aside old grudges and develop new ones. Lots to talk about this week. Let's meet the panelists, starting with co-host to the Jennifer and Wendy show on the Big 550 KTRS, Wendy Wiese. There she is. And from STLtoday.com and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Mr. Bill McClellan. From RawStory.com, the Riverfront Times, and St. Louis in the Know on the Big 550 KTRS, Ray Hartmann. And from the St. Louis American, the sports columnist, who also is news editor, Alvin Reid. Well, Bill, we're going to start and talk about your birth state, Illinois. What's going on there? It was announced this week that Mike Madigan, who was the Speaker of the House for 36 years, and as such, he headed up a legislature longer than anyone else in U.S. history. Quite an interesting tenure. He was also, of course, the head of the Democratic Party in the very blue big state of Illinois, but he was indicted this week for, among other things, basically abusing his office for personal gain. ComEd has already paid $200 million in fines because the giant was accused of paying people with close ties to Madigan and also giving them contracts and special favors. But it sure seems like in your state, Illinois, we hear a lot of things like this out of Springfield on a pretty regular basis.
Well, we do, and normally I would believe in due process, and let's look at the evidence. But really, when you're talking about Mike Madigan, you just kind of begin with the assumption that he's crooked. And as a former, as born and raised in Cook County, Chicago, it just seems like if you can't steal enough money in your first 30 years in office, if Mike Madigan, if he would have quit 10 years ago, 15 years ago, he could be living large now. But why you hang on? What is he, 87? Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So I'm afraid that Mike Madigan will spend his final days not in luxury at all. But so I'm assuming he's guilty.
I think you're being very cynical, but you're right. So I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, it's amazing how many governors out of the have been. Gosh. I mean, it really is an amazing thing, and I will say it's bipartisan. I mean, but in this case. It really is hard to imagine that he's got.
Well, when I was a child, and I was a Cub Scout for a short time, Governor Otto Kerner visited the troop, or the pack, or whatever it was, on his way to the big house.
On his way to the big house. This has been in the works for a long time. Sure. I mean, everybody knew when he left that, there you could hear the dogs in the distance and the torches.
But that was the thing, is that, from going, like I say, he's been there so long, like, oh my Lord, I think he was running the thing when I was in Danville. Everybody down there, just like, Illinois was a place where you could get things done by paying somebody off. Okay. Right. All right. And it didn't have to be a huge amount of money or anything like that. But, it was a principle. It was a principle of the thing, right? But I thought this long time ago. I said, man, when Barack Obama got sworn in for his second term, I said, if I was old school Illinois, Jesse White, the long-term guy who was comptroller, whatever, over there forever. All these guys said, boy, here's your time to step away. You'll never be higher than you are right now, and they want you out, and a whole lot of dirty dealing's been going on. And so when it first came out that they were actually going to try to indict this guy, I said, all you had to do was leave.
Right.
And you did.
Because the only way to go is down. But what I think the problem is, in addition to maybe something in the water or the atmosphere, where everybody thinks they're the smartest guy in the room, and I'm not going to be the next Blago or Blago or Rod Blagojevich or fill in the blank. There have been so many. I think you have to hold the corporations or any entity. A $200 million fine for ComEd that's chump change for ComEd. And I think the prosecutors have to make the companies and the corporations who are in bed with the allegedly crooked politicians they have to go after them as if it's a priority. And I know that still could happen.
Well,
but
they've gone after the lobby.
They go after the individuals and the corporations.
Right, but
I mean, these corporations that get charged and fined, like there's no person behind them.
Yeah.
There's, you know, the CEO. Illinois corruption, my favorite one. Who was the Secretary of State that had the shoe boxes filled with...
Was it Ryan? Not Ryan.
I think it was. He had shoe boxes filled with money they found when he died, and one of our senators said, his shoe boxes will be hard to fill.
Okay, let's move on. Wendy, I want to ask you, closer to home in St. Louis County, Rita Hurd Days, who heads up the St. Louis County Council, is still preventing county monies from going to the city to expand the convention center. As you know, the expansion is a $210 million deal. $105 million has already been appropriated from the city, but the county has not handed over its 50% of the bargain. Ms. Days would like some sort of athletic facility for the youth and others in North County. And while it's not specifically written out that that's the deal with the convention center, she's still holding out for that. Is she in the right by doing so?
You know what? I'm not sure if she is in the right or in the wrong, but I really like her style. I mean, I really, really do. She is not afraid of anything or anybody. Any threats about her political future, any, you know, angst on the part of any of her colleagues. She keeps her eye on the ball. I just think as a local politician, she is fun to watch. I don't know how much longer. I mean, when you have the American basically saying that, hey, Rita, Terry Wilson is our guy if you don't make this happen really quickly. And you know, to put the entire tourism industry on the back of Rita Hurd Days and, you know, post-pandemic, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But it's for as long as she goes, it's going to be fun to watch.
They're not mutually exclusive, okay?
Right.
And then also, what are we building in, I'm a county resident, so that's why I said
But she says she's working on it.
Right, like what are we building? Because there's some plans out there that are flat out insulting, I think, as compared to other...
Like a basketball hoop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what exactly are we holding up these municipal bonds for? Maybe you should explain that. Because, listen, the convention center is going to get expanded, and it needs to be expanded. And I also think this is kind of a moot point right now until it's decided where this money from the Rams is going to go. Because it could finance a lot of things. That's all
I think Alvin's right about that last point. I was going to make it.
I'm sorry.
No, I have nothing to say. No, I think Rita Hurd Days has done an amazing job in this year, personally. And it may not be a popular view, you know, managing the circus that's the county council. I think she's done a good job. I do think it is important, and it's not always sexy, to expand, to put money into the convention center. But Alvin's point's well taken. It's going to happen, and I sure don't blame her, as you say, for if she doesn't stand up and fight, she ain't going to win.
Well, and I'm sorry, Bill. Go ahead.
I was going to say, isn't she in the catbird seat right now with Sam Page running for re-election and looking at North County, and he's likely to be facing a black Republican, and I would think that Rita can get almost anything she wants out of Sam Page in the next...
Well, I don't know about
you would
that.
think, but those wheels move slowly.
We'll see.
I think that I would challenge both of you guys, Alvin and Ray, on the convention. You know, we've gone down that road so long, and what's it gotten us in downtown St.
Put money
Louis?
in the convention center?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you want to do?
An athletic facility in North County would, for the kids and the adults, it would solve so many problems.
The two are not mutually exclusive.
No, they are, because a budget is a measure of priorities. And you know what? That North County Center has been put off for so long. And when you think about what it could do for people, and for some reason, we always drag our feet on that. And the convention center, we've had that convention center for so long in different permutations. What has it done for our downtown?
Come on, Charlie.
Really?
You want to just give up on convention business?
I like tourism. But the
you like tourism without a convention center.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
a good strategy.
As you know, because you remember, you sat on the tourism committee years ago. They're different industries.
Charlie,
tell me, Alvin, do you really think that orthopedic surgeons and their spouses are going to come to St. Louis in February when they're San Diego and Orlando and Chicago?
Do.
Well, okay.
They don't.
I think when you flip a house, they always turn these whatevers into like these just magnificent palaces. I'm not asking for that, but I am saying, like, can we get
just at least change the fixtures?
Yeah, exactly.
And a couple of light bulbs. Yeah.
Because it looks dingy to me, and if it looks dingy to me.
But what about Kitty Radcliffe's plan to have, instead of a big center in North County, a track?
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I think that's what Rita has been fighting against, is the fact that when it deals with North County, then we have to analyze it and blue ribbon panel it and study it, and then it ends up just being a track. Where once upon a time there were
well, then she needs to say that.
It's got to be a track with a pool and basketball courts and more. And we're going to invite you to join us for Donnie Bash in June, and here are the details.
Well, any show that has been as popular as Donnybrook is after 36 years, well, they just must be doing something right. Hi, I'm Mary Ann Carson. Welcome to the 9 PBS studios. And have we got a wonderful way for you to be at the next Donnie Bash in the audience, enjoying the taping and production of Donnybrook. And we want you to become a sustaining member. This is such a deal. This is a deal for sustaining members at $12 a month, and you will receive 2 tickets to Donnie Bash, and the date for that is Thursday, June 9th. The doors open at 5:30. Things get underway with reception at 6 o'clock. You'll be in the Sheldon Concert Hall with actually the whole set from Donnybrook set up right there for you to enjoy. You will also receive a 9 PBS mug. And this is it comes in a couple of different colors. So for $12 as a sustaining member, you'll be there at Donnie Bash, 2 tickets, and your choice of the color of the 9 PBS mug. Now, if you would simply like your choice of either the mug or 1 ticket to Donnie Bash for that Thursday, June 9th, just make a one-time contribution to 9 PBS of $75. Now, it's a little quiet right now here in the 9 PBS studio, but there's a pretty rowdy group on the other side of the studio, and that is the crew from Donnybrook, and we want to go over and join those guys right now, and along with my good friend, Will Shaw.
Here we are.
All right, here we are, and I'll tell you cannot believe how serious these people are when they're off camera. I mean, this has just been a really a very dark conversation, but
very dark.
I'm sure we can get them to lighten up for the Donnie Bash, which is coming up on June 9th, and that's one of our special thank you gifts when you become a member of the 9 Network. And you guys really enjoy that, don't you?
I love it. It's like, and it's only 3 months away. It's amazing.
And this year, after so many cancellations and delays because of the pandemic, we are giddy about it. We are just giddy about June 9th.
Yeah, I think the last one was fall of 2019.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 2.5+ years since we've had a Donnie Bash. And it's really the highlight of our year. We've missed it. It's a chance to visit with everybody who spends $144.
Well, and then there's
a
lot of people who come every year, and we haven't seen in a couple years.
Right.
There's a crew from Greenville, Illinois.
Right.
That comes up. There's
The bus comes in from Greenville?
Yep.
Yeah, or caravan, or however they do it. They make it here. Make it here. I think it'd be cool because it's in summer.
Yes.
And we haven't done it. And it's just going to sound like, I guess we're all the same, but we're different. So, Bill, you can wear shorts.
I think I will, Alvin. Thank you for that.
It really is such a great event because you get to come early and watch them set up, do a little chit-chat, a little visit here and there, and then you watch a live broadcast of Donnybrook. You watch it as it's happening. It's going out over the air, and then afterwards you have the soiree after the taping of the well, not the taping, but the broadcast
Live
of the show.
broadcast, right.
And you get to rub elbows with these folks right here, I mean, it's going to be very serious. So, you know.
I don't know about
sure.
the elbows, but I would say you also get to give us your lines for the show in the session before the show. Very often, somebody gives us, you know,
Talking
something,
points.
talking points,
points.
talking points, and ad-lib lines too.
And sound effects. They're actually, I think it's so much fun for the audience because if they're throwing things at the TV screen, they actually they're on camera when they're reacting, and it's just a live, wonderful event. And the acoustics at the Sheldon, it's the highlight of the season. It really is.
It is. Well, and my grandchildren, you know, at the last show, Evie, my granddaughter, walked up on the stage, and then she got to ask the last question that the audience does. And this year, my grandson, Tino, has said that he wants to walk up on the stage with me. So I will be accompanied by like 2 bodyguards.
They're like human shields. So,
They are.
so the rest of us can't.
We can't get mad at their grandpa and coach.
Yeah, coach,
Right?
we can't get mad at coach.
That's exactly right.
Oh, that's so unfair.
Well, what about other kids? Anybody else want to bring their kids or grandkids?
Well, but mine one's about to get married a year from now. The other one's
I was gonna
involved
say.
getting her engineering degree. Hey, you guys want to come to Donnybrook? So like, okay, Dad, well,
Alvin and
catch
I-
me to 3-4 years, right?
But it really is just a fun evening, and people come for all different reasons. Seriously, I think that's what's really, everybody's of a different mindset. It's like you have people there celebrating anniversaries, people who want to really get into the weeds talking about politics and what's going on locally.
Yes.
It's just,
You know, and Alvin brought up a good point. It's in summer. Now,
It's actually late spring.
as I get older, I don't like to drive at night that much.
Well.
But this is the first Donny Bash, I think, where we're going to come out at 8 o'clock after the show, and then maybe 8:30. It's still going to be light outside.
Yeah.
You can drive home in the light, right?
that's right. Yeah.
That
Well,
may
that's kind
be
of an
why they
advantage.
scheduled it then, Charlie.
Yeah, for me. Thank you very much.
Safe trip home.
Thanks, folks.
And you know, there's so many ways that you can use it as a gift for Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever day
That's
you want to
right.
make it a gift. Just give us a call right now and become a member of the 9 Network and get your tickets for Donny Bash. Let's go back over to Mary.
Thank you very much. You know, we were talking about Father's Day, and you just brought that up, Will, and what a wonderful Father's Day gift. And sometimes Dad can be a little tough to shop for, and I think Donny Bash would really be a very welcome gift. And the guys from Donnybrook are always saying, you know, you may have been to Donny Bash before, but don't be shy. Come on back. They love seeing people over and over again. And I think this year's Donny Bash is going to be especially fun. You could hear how giddy the guys are to get there on June 9th. So let's go over how you can be right there in the audience, because there's such an easy way. When you become a sustaining member at $12 a month, you are going to get 2 tickets to that Donny Bash on Thursday, June 9th, and you'll also receive a 9 PBS mug. Now, if you would just like 1 ticket or your choice of the mug, that choice is yours when you make a one-time contribution of $75 to 9 PBS. Don't forget that with your membership, you will receive 9 magazine for the full year of your membership, and you'll also have access to 9 PBS Passport, which is an extended library of your favorite PBS and 9 PBS shows that you can watch anytime, anywhere. But make sure that you give us a call right now. Don't miss this opportunity to be there at Donny Bash on June 9th and join us here at 9 PBS.
And we'll see you in June. Ray, let's continue our discussion, this time taking a look at a legal case that you know a lot about because you've had some of the principals on your radio show recently. Essentially, September 17th, 2017, there were protesters in downtown St. Louis, along with some vandals as well, and the police used a controversial policing technique called kettling. Put all these folks together. Some of them got hurt. It was a pretty bad scene in many ways. At the same time, some of the protesters claimed that their civil rights had been violated, their First, Fourth, and 14th Amendment rights. They've taken it to court, and they've won some cases at the lower level. They also won at the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, but the city councilor, Sheena Hamilton, in the city of St. Louis, wants to appeal to an en banc, full court at the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. So she wants to take this case even further. How do you feel about this? Are you on her side?
Absolutely not. And very much understated by you what happened. About 100 people, almost pedestrians, journalists, whatever, were rounded up in what's called kettling. And I believe they've stopped doing it now.
And an undercover police officer.
Well, this is, no,
oh,
actually, Luther Hall got beaten within his life before, no, the same night before that. Then they had the kettle, which was 100 people, sometimes downtown residents going out to see what was going on. They rounded them up. And by the way, they pepper sprayed many of them. They beat many of them. This looked like more like Moscow than St. Louis. So let's not understate what happened.
Well, those are the allegations.
That's, well, and you know what? It's interesting to say that. Then let it go to trial. Right now, the city of St. Louis and Ms. Hamilton has decided to essentially make a throwdown for the concept of qualified immunity. For those of us that believe, you know, who are civil libertarians, qualified immunity is a no-go. It's got to be removed because it's the only accountability that law enforcement and in many cases other kinds of officials have. It is certainly item A for those that believe in criminal justice reform. And those people presumably include the mayor and some others. It's one thing for the city to defend its officers, and by the way, they're not defending all of them, but to the extent they have a responsibility to defend the budget, officers, fine. And to appeal to a 3-judge panel, which they did, was fine. Now, a 3-judge panel of federal judges, unanimously, 2 Republicans, 1 appointed by Trump, ruled against him. It's time to figure out how to settle these cases, not fight for qualified immunity.
Well, well, I was going to say, well, one, they offered these folks a settlement, and they didn't take it. And if I offer you a settlement, and I said, like, if you don't take it, we're taking it to the full extent of the law, and you don't take it, well, then that's tough. Well, all right, 2, last I looked, the city councilor represents the city. And she decides what the city's best interest is. And you could be the mayor, you could be the comptroller, you could be the president of the board of aldermen, and your political life may tell you one thing, but when your attorney comes in and tells you another, my advice would be listen to your attorney. She's doing her job, and if I don't like it this time, well, that's tough, because next time she's going to do her job, and I'm going to applaud it. I just don't think she should be limited by the fact of what she should be standing for. Now she stands for the city.
Right,
and the law. And the law.
It's being responsible, Ray. I mean, qualified immunity, which generally protects police officers. Right. If you're the mayor of the city, you don't want to make it easier to collect from the city. It's just like the newspaper. I remember when we had an editor who wanted to sue the Journalism Review of all things, and you know, which had a circulation of 35, but he wanted to sue him based on some kind of stretching what libel is, and our lawyers said, hey, you know, what we're trying to do is protect the newspaper in general and restrict these lawsuits, and if the mayor were to say, I want to make it easier for people to sue the police department and the city, that would be financially irresponsible.
The bottom line is the constituents of the city attorney are the people of St. Louis. And yes, there's a financial component, but there's also a human rights component to that. And the fact is, it's not, and she comes from a corporate background, so that's fine. She's oriented, as she defended the Walmarts of the world in civil rights cases, to worrying about the bottom line, but there's more than the bottom line here, and getting rid of qualified immunity.
She's a lawyer, not an activist.
Yeah, the people who want to get rid of qualified immunity, they can fight their own fights. But the city wants to keep qualified immunity, and she also represents not just the activists, but the taxpayers in general.
Well, the taxpayers in general are against qualified immunity.
And she doesn't have, she doesn't have a constituency. She's appointed. And she's appointed, and she has a job to do. She doesn't.
The mayor's chief of staff, Jarrett Boyd had said immediately after she was responsible, we're going to do this differently. She's going to have direction to think more about, and I don't have his exact words, but basically not to be confined just with financial responsibility, but to look at the bigger picture. And it's exactly what's not happening.
No, that's exactly what is happening.
I feel bad for the mayor because I don't know what she can do.
Was a clerk for the U.S. District Court.
Great background.
Then she worked for Dowd Bennett and one of the top law firms in the
Doing
state, if not the Midwest.
Well,
I don't think that she is someone who's going to be told what to do.
Well, that's the point.
That's right.
And I happen to,
That's
you know,
right.
the fact, I think it's terrific. She was a historic appointment, all that. But the fact is, that doesn't mean you can't criticize her position on this.
No,
I think she's wrong. And all I'm saying is, and Bill Frey, you mentioned a Gateway Journalism. Bill Freigerveld just did a great piece on this, where there's a huge disconnect, as he said, between what the city's politics are and what the city's actions are. And he was talking about a case that resembled the Floyd case.
She is a lawyer representing the legal interest of the city, Ray.
The bottom line is the city does not need to be fighting for qualified immunity.
The city ought to just make deals with these people and give them more money. If we want to be a progressive city, let them do that. But don't open the vaults.
Can I say this? Javad Caselli, who was the lawyer in this, who's handled almost all these cases, hotly contests the assumption that the city is. He says he wants to settle. He says the city is lying when it says it.
Okay.
No, he wants to settle. He's saying it's them.
We have to take a break here.
Right about that.
We have to switch topics. We'll take a break momentarily and ask folks to join us for Donnie Bash in June. But Bill, President Biden in his State of the Union did say specifically this week, fund the police with training and reform and all that, but fund the police. Immediately, St. Louis Congressman Cori Bush took the president to task, and she's still in favor of defunding the police. Do you think that statements like that are going to make Democrats in general more vulnerable in November?
Sure. I mean, most people want police protection and feel that safety and security is very important. And Cori Bush, she's sincere without being serious. I mean, it's hard to take a lot of her position seriously. And I think that this whole defunding the police is a mistake.
Well, you don't have a community. The reality of it is you don't have a community without police protection. Period. And it is also, and I agree with you, Bill. I mean, I think that her heart is obviously in the right place. She is looking out for the people who put her in office. It's just, I think she needs to expand her repertoire. It can't just be defund the police. She has to work. I think she just has to, instead of automatically saying take the money away from the police departments, work for some kind of compromise, continue to work for a compromise. But it sounds like a one-trick pony, and that's not anything that you can continue to do.
And it's evidence that the Democrats are not an organized political party. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have Democrats out there in an election year, 2022, undercutting their leader. And I will say this, she's right, I think. I've always hated that phrase from the beginning. I think they're right to talk about putting more of an emphasis on attacking the causes of crime rather than the symptoms. But you're right. I mean, it's a terrible position, and very few people out of the American public want to have their police protection taken away from them. So it's just a terrible position.
Including Cori Bush, who has pretty good security personnel.
And to your point, I think if the Democrats should and could be fighting against things like qualified immunity. They should be fighting for criminal justice reform, but not by taking away the budgets of police departments.
January 2017, the White House, the House, the Senate was Republican controlled. 2 years later, Republicans lost the House. 2 years after that, didn't have anything. All you have to do is just show that to the Cori Bushes of the world and say, like, if you think this can't be us, you're sadly mistaken. And the Democratic Party needs somebody who can, keep progressives in line, conservative Democrats, moderates, big place like Illinois, like Mike Madigan did all those years. Yeah. And see, there's a little method to the madness, not excusing the man.
Now, do you think, Alvin, that this might lead to a substantial challenge to Cori Bush?
I think so. I think that you could now make an argument that the big picture, in a way, is kind of larger than the St. Louis picture. I don't know that you could win, but you could basically base a challenge upon that.
Very interesting. Hey, we challenge you to join us in June for Donny Bash 2022. Here are some details.
Don't go away, because there is more Donnybrook to come. We want to take just a moment here and cordially invite you to support Donnybrook and so many other programs here on 9 PBS by becoming a member of 9 PBS. Be part of the family. If you've never been a member, this is the perfect time to sign up and become one. If you've been a member in the past and maybe you let it lapse, well, let's take care of that right here, right now. And we have very special thank you gifts for you when you join us right now. Become an ongoing monthly contributor at the $12 per month level, and we will send you that new 9 PBS mug, very handsome, and you'll also get 2 tickets to see Donny Bash. That's coming up June 9th, and you will get to be there for a live broadcast, a live presentation of Donnybrook. You'll be there beforehand. You'll get to do a little interaction with the Donnybrook cast. Then you'll get to watch the program, and then afterwards there's a nice little cheese and wine soiree afterwards where you'll actually get to meet and rub elbows with the folks, and it's a great time for all. That's yours when you join us at the $12 ongoing monthly contribution level. If you'd like to join us at the $75 level, we can give you either the mug or 1 ticket to Donny Bash. So if you tend to go stag, that would be very convenient for you. That's yours. With a $75 one-time contribution to 9 PBS, you may take your pick, either the mug or 1 ticket to see Donny Bash. Now, those folks from Donnybrook are here with us tonight, and they are chatting it up right over there. So let's go over to Marianne Carson and talk to the Donnybrook folks.
And here we are, and you know, as I look around the set, this new set, this is going to be the first time this new set will be at Donny Bash.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Which is even more exciting.
And there will be a lot of people on the stage that night taking pictures, I bet. You know, because there's right. Yeah. There's always a lot of that.
I wonder if the old set could have made it one more trip, but you know.
There's a lot of people that remember fondly that green felt we had.
Oh,
they do. Wine stains on it.
Oh, yeah. And when Charlie says, and we're gathered around the big table because it's no longer green. Definitely no longer green.
At the
but
rate
we will.
that table was going, it wasn't going to be green. I don't know what it was going to be.
No, that's true.
I think that table walked out of here.
Table,
I think it is.
that table's been through some.
Under its
table's
own
got
power.
some stories.
Oh, and I think one of the real highlights of Donny Bash is having each of you introduced, and when you make your entrance. Isn't that fun?
It is fun, especially when Dean Martin here, comes out on the stage. The people go nuts for Alvin. Alvin is just such a performer, and he loves an audience. And of course, Bill, everybody's on top of it at Donny Bash, just because we love that give and take,
Absolutely.
don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Because we're a little hammy.
Oh, you
just
think?
a little.
I know.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know how you do it without an audience every week, really, when you think about it.
In truthfulness, we have an audience. Because I always tell people, it's like, we can see you out there. And I'm kind of kidding, because every place we go, people walk up to you and say, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I say, you're talking to me like, I know you, but I guess I know you. So it is like,
exactly.
So you wonder how, like, they're kind of the same in studio as they are.
What did Taj Mahal say about all you people on the other side of the needle back in, back in the day when everyone had a phonograph?
That's
Don't
right.
forget, we have in the studio, we have the world's greatest crew here.
Yes,
and
you
sometimes
do.
it gets me camera time. So we have people, and they snicker when we're talking, but no. It's so much that there's nothing for us like the instant feedback. And as I say, some of us are better than others at playing into it. But there really is. We all are hands actually about just playing off it. It's fun. It actually makes it's the ultimate connection with the 9 PBS audience, and it's and let's not forget that this is all a big part of an amazing station. Seriously, and network, and it's nice to be part of it.
It's really true. You know, there are 350 public television stations in the country, and we are so fortunate to have just about the highest per capita viewership of any market. I mean, on any given evening, we have a higher viewership than Minneapolis and Chicago and San
Francisco, New York.
I know.
I mean, our station really beats out.
Well, one thing that we have really done well, and I give Anne-Marie Berger credit for it, is this Next Up. You know, the second half of the show where we have somebody on, like last week we had John Shimkus, the former congressman from Illinois, who is an expert on Ukraine. I mean, he was there as a supervisor for the elections and an observer for the elections. And he was, for half an hour, Ray and Alvin talked to John Shimkus, and he knew what he was talking about, and he didn't have an agenda. And I usually don't watch cable TV, but I've been watching during the Ukraine war. And I didn't see anything as good as that. I mean, there no agenda, just John Shimkus, who knew what he was talking about and talking. It was really excellent television.
Are you suggesting we don't know what we're talking about?
I'm not suggesting it.
I think you're pretty much.
I'm speaking as an insider.
I gotta say,
and on that note,
it is refreshing to pivot to someone.
And on that note, back to Will.
Boy, did you notice how much Mary got to talk when I was over there? I didn't get a word in edgeways, but that's probably better because you tuned in to watch the folks from Donnybrook anyway, didn't you? Well, right now, we would like you to support this program and everything that you and your family, your children, your grandchildren enjoy here on 9 PBS. And when you do, we have very special Donnybrook thank you gifts for you. Call us right now and join us at the $12 per month ongoing monthly contribution, and we will send you a 9 PBS mug. That's a brand new one. We've had lots of mugs over the years, and this is a very handsome one, I think. Plus, you'll get a pair of tickets to see Donny Bash, and that's coming up on June 9th at the Sheldon. And you will be there to watch a live presentation, a live broadcast of Donnybrook. There are festivities before the show, and then afterwards, there's always a little wine and cheese soiree, and you'll get to meet the Donnybrook stars. You'll get to talk to them and chit-chat. They really are a delightful group of people who really love what they do and really love helping out 9 PBS and meeting their fans. So call us right now. Support 9 PBS and Donnybrook.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Lots to discuss as we move back to you, Alvin, on some endorsements recently in the U.S. Senate race on the Republican side. We had Josh Hawley, the junior senator for the state of Missouri, endorsing Vicky Hartzler, U.S. Congresswoman from Missouri, and Ted Cruz, U.S. Senator from Texas, endorsing Eric Schmidt, the Attorney General for the state of Missouri. And we also have a poll showing, I think, that Eric Greitens, the former governor, is in the lead thus far. So what do you make of all this?
Well, I thought the poll was interesting, first of all, because I thought Greitens, if he were going to win and like run away with it, he would have had a larger lead. And while he was at 30%, I think they were backing him up was like 24% and 22%, and 16% was still undecided. So I think as candidates see the light and drop out, I think it'll be enough that Schmidt might get past him, Hartzler might get past him. I look at each individual candidate and say, like, okay, when they drop out, where are their votes going to go? All right, McCloskey's, I think, would go to Greitens. Hartzler's, I think, would go to Schmidt. I don't see Schmidt dropping out, but I think that would help Vicky Hartzler immensely. And so I think, you know, just like we've had these three-way runs here, and if only one person had got out of the race, maybe we wouldn't have seen Steve Stinger and been the county executive.
Right,
so
that's
maybe they wise up.
Ask Mark Mantovani.
Yeah, you know. So maybe they wise up and they say, like, listen, the worst thing that happened to this party, and the only way we could lose this Senate seat was if Eric Greitens won. So we got to do something, you all. And I could see them coming to some compromise.
I think the anti-Greitens, there's two sides here. There's Greitens and the anti-Greitens. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. I think it's I think that there's a number of, I guess it's a bad pun, elephants in the room, which is Donald Trump's endorsement, which in a Republican primary matters greatly, whether anybody likes it or not. We don't know what he's going to do. He's keeping that. So that's the big one. There's also then the question of who decides to, it's less than 5 months to the primary. And so it's getting a little late to drop out. And by the way, Trafalgar, which is, I think I pronounced it right there is a right-wing pollster that I wouldn't always trust, but on a Republican primary would, and they're pretty highly rated for accuracy. I think Greitens has a commanding lead, and I know there may be an effort to get somebody out, but if I'm Eric Schmidt sitting on 23%, it's hard to argue for me to get out. And Vicky Hartzler has dropped her congressional career to do this. I don't see her getting out she's got Hawley's endorsement. I think that it's looking very good for Eric Greitens right now, and I know I'm being wishful when I say that.
Well, I agree with you. I think Eric Greitens is going to win the primary, and consequently, I think he's going to be our next senator.
I think Eric Schmidt is going to. I still think Eric Schmidt is going to win. That's just a hunch. I also didn't think that Donald Trump would make it past, so my hunches aren't very good.
I think as wild as Jefferson City has been with Republicans turning on the governor and turning on each other down there, they are going to turn on Eric Greitens unbelievably. As soon as this session is over, everything that wasn't on public record down there.
Greitens or Schmidt?
Greitens.
Okay.
Everything that didn't go on the public record down there is coming out.
Yeah,
I almost guarantee.
I disagree with my fellow founder about the last part of that. Do not assume a Democrat cannot beat Eric Greitens. I think Lucas Kunce has a very good chance to beat him. I'm not sure Scott Sifford could beat him.
You realize this is Missouri.
Look, in Missouri, the Democrats in the last election with Kander only lost by 3 or 4 points.
But they still lost.
No.
But I'm just saying that this whole Greitens thing is enough.
Assume that Eric Greitens will win a general election. I don't think he will.
I hope you're right, but my 2 words for that, Ray, would be Mike Parson.
Hey,
Mike Parson beat Nicole Galloway handily.
I get it, but as recently as 10 years ago, 8 years ago, all the seats are held by Democrats. Do not assume that it's that deep. Donald Trump is a phenomena, but do not assume that Eric Greitens will win a general election, because that's why they're so worried.
How about Tom Snyder, the
former mayor of
Florissant, and I wrote a column about it and said he had no chance at, a Democrat, and he reminded me that the mayoral position in Florissant is nonpartisan. So when I call him an old Democrat, he's really
I think
could be. All right, let's move on. Bill, I want to ask you about a mini-series, true crime mini-series that'll, I think, debut next week on NBC and the Peacock Network. It involves the St. Louis murderess, Pam Hupp. It's her story. She's portrayed by Renee Zellweger, the famous actress, who, to I guess properly portray the size of Ms. Hupp, she had to put on some extra armor to make herself look heavier. Now, she's being criticized, Zellweger is, because people are saying, there are many plus-size actresses in Hollywood who could have taken that role. Why did you take that role when other people could have played the role of Pam Hupp without the extra armor? Do you think they have a point?
I hadn't thought of it until this happened, but frankly, if they make a movie about Donnybrook, I want an old guy to get my role. I don't want it to be some young guy that they have to dress up to look old. So yes, I think that a plus-sized actress should have gotten the role. You're done right.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I'm just completely so stunned that this is what we have on our plate right now, that we are actually going to tell television producers and executives how to cast She's an actress. Let her act. I mean, I just think this is goofy that we've gone so far off the boil.
It's beyond goofy, but it's also interesting. Why are you attacking the actress? I mean, if you're going to attack, the people, and
don't attack anybody. Just watch the miniseries.
No, I'm not saying you should attack anybody.
Better yet, don't watch the miniseries. Keep it on Channel 9.
I think she's also the executive producer, so she has a role in that.
For God's sakes.
But this is so insensitive to Pam Huff's feelings. For what? No, I'm
being very clear. You're being sarcastic.
No, I'm being sarcastic. It's like it's an absurd.
It's crazy,
and I would say it's kidding.
I think it's fitting for what we're about to be treated to. And look, I don't watch stuff like this, and I'm gonna watch this.
You're gonna watch
this. This is here, okay?
Right.
And we lived it, experienced it. Like this is unbelievable, okay?
Yeah, it's
all right. But now it's going to be, in living color right here in all of our, living rooms. And I think it's just going to be like kind of fantastic.
Oh, I think
I want to see how the police are portrayed. I want who's playing her ex-husband that got jammed up and sent to prison. I mean, this is going to be good.
No, I agree. I think it's
just what we need when we're trying to build our profile back up, right?
Yeah. And who will play Robert Patrick? He was the Post-Dispatch reporter who was very big in this case.
Well, I certainly hope they have him.
It's based on the book by St. Louis attorney Joel Schwartz.
And Charlie Bosworth.
And Charles Bosworth, that's correct.
And Charlie's another old Post-Dispatch guy.
With about a minute
to probably find a young guy to play him.
Alvin, with about a minute to go, I know you write about sports every week for the St. Louis American. We sure appreciate your work. Well, there's a baseball lockout, and can you summarize if you think there's going to be an agreement that'll at least get the home opener underway in St. Louis?
I think it'll be kind of hot outside. Maybe that doesn't mean Memorial Day, but it's going to be a little bit now. And they've messed up. I think they have really messed up.
The players or the owners?
Both.
Both.
I agree. But I also think that the owners in particular, and I'm generally on the players' side because I generally am, and they seem like the grown-ups that are more worried about competition and on the high road, but the owners probably don't care that much about losing some regular season
in April
and May when the weather is, particularly April, when the weather's not good.
A splinter.
And I think I'd be surprised if they're willing to lose the whole season, but I think that they are. I wouldn't expect baseball before Memorial Day. I'm not sure.
20 seconds, Wendy?
It's just kind of stunning after a pandemic when, so many people have relied on baseball and a lot of people have lost interest in baseball that they would take this chance. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. First, let's see what people had to say about last week's program as we visit the old mailbag. Before another go with the trolley that few rode, the entire St. Louis region first needs proper bus stop shelters at every bus stop. Next, instead of making further cuts in bus routes, why not try replacing buses that run mostly empty on some routes with large vans? That from N. Cooksey of Kirkwood, Missouri, who wrote us. We also went to the Twitterverse and found Gene672 saying, Wendy is right about trained school personnel carrying firearms. We're not reinventing the wheel. What's been the experience in other states that allow this? 0 shootings. None. Nada. And Liz Will wrote, Bill's right. The more weapons in the building, the greater the chance of a shooting. You can write us, care of 9PBS, 3655 Olive Street, 63108. Love those emails, Donnybrook at 9pbs.org, and don't forget to include that hashtag DonnybrookSTL with your tweets. And you can find us, of course, wherever you find your podcasts. Hey, that's it for the discussion portion, but we still want to invite you to join us in June in in Grand Center for Donny Bash, and let's get more of those details.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Well, and if you are a fan of Donnybrook, wait until you go to Donny Bash. There is nothing like it if you've never attended. Don't miss this one. It's going to be on Thursday, June 9th at the Sheldon Concert Hall, and the whole set from Donnybrook is going to be transported there for real, and you will be in the audience for the live broadcast, for the reception before the live broadcast, and for the reception afterwards. The doors open at 5:30, but let me tell you, first of all, how you can be in the audience for Donny Bash in June. When you become a sustaining member at 9 PBS at just $12 a month, you will receive not just one ticket, but 2 tickets to Donny Bash, and you will also receive a 9 PBS mug. Now, if you're just interested in one ticket or the mug, you had that choice when you make a one-time contribution to 9 PBS of $75. Don't forget, you will get the 9 magazine for the full year of your membership. You will also receive access to 9 PBS Passport. Now, this is an extensive library of programs, some of your favorite programs right here on 9 PBS, and some of your very favorite programs on PBS, including Masterpiece. The list just goes on and on of great programs. And that will be yours to watch anytime, anywhere. But first of all, let's just get you signed up for Donny Bash. Once again, $12 as a sustaining member of 9 PBS, and you get 2 tickets and you get the mug. And that is a great deal. Now, this is June 9th we were talking about, June 9th this year. So you really want to, if you want to get a Father's Day gift for a dad who's hard to shop for, this would be a perfect idea. Well, the guys from Donnybrook are on the other side of the studio, along with my good friend Will Shaw. Let's join them all right now.
Thank you, Marianne. Yes, here we are. And let me tell you, I've been talking to the folks, and they are aching for you to call right now, become a member of 9 PBS, and get your tickets for Donny Bash on June 9th. And isn't that true, Wendy Wiese? Aren't you?
That is true. That sounds a little Jane Austen-y, but yeah, I'd say we're
literary
aching.
kind of
You
guy.
are a literary kind of guy. You know, I was sitting here thinking though that what we hear time and time again is that in this climate, in this world that we live in, at Donny Bash, you have the person who is left of center standing next to the person who is right of center, and they are just having a conversation. It's all in good fun, and I think that's the appeal of Donnybrook, that you can disagree without being disagreeable, and that not only is what we try to do around this table and what 9 PBS encourages us to do, but it happens at Donny Bash as well, and that's a special thing to witness, and just one more reason to be with us on June 9th, because we ache to see them.
Absolutely. You got to be part of it, because like you said, 2.5 years. I hadn't done the math yet, Charlie, till you said that. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
And so I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody, and I hope everybody's looking forward to seeing us, because it is, you know, it's a cool thing for $144. I mean, It really is. And, you know, you're not limited to 2. Bring your family. Like I say, Mother's Day, Father's Day, right there. It'll be a special night, because it's been a long time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we have a St. Louis Brown special coming up after this segment tonight, and you know we all have said over the years, and it's truer today than ever before, that when you are a member of 9 PBS, you do feel invested in the programming, and you feel like, hey, I had a hand in bringing that to my neighbors here in St. Louis, and that's an awfully good feeling.
And I have a contract to play with the St. Louis Browns.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Which actually is interesting, because one of the things that should not be overlooked is what a St. Louis institution the station is, and obviously our show, but really the station, and when you're supporting it for real. I don't know. When you say aching, I'm just at a point in life where I'm just aching.
He's aching all the time.
That's sort of what I do. But I used to run marathons. No, I'm just aching. No, but but it's a St. Louis thing.
Yep.
And
67
of all the
years,
traditions,
right?
you know, we think of Ted Drew's, and we think of Crown Candy, and all the other. 9 Network's one of them.
That's right.
And
So is Sheldon. I mean, we're talking about a
Yes,
songwriter.
absolutely.
that's right.
It's worth coming just to see Sheldon.
That's exactly right. Some people are seeing it for the first time. Seriously, believe it or not, they're like,
Beautiful
wow,
place. Beautiful.
gorgeous.
And they put the setup on stage, so you get to see just like it is here, and you get to see these folks just like they are here, which, you know, may be a little shocking in some cases. But it's a good time to be had by all every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we are, of course, non-commercial television. We rely on the generosity of our viewers to make these shows possible. Not just the shows, but the entertaining events outside on our plaza here, on the Jack Galmish Plaza, and the educational programming that Amy Shaw, our general manager, started during the pandemic for kids who were studying remotely. So
That's right.
we really are plugged into the community in so many ways.
Your taste in good television, you know, your membership takes care of you and your family, your kids and grandkids, but also it's a gift to everybody in the St. Louis region, and make sure that quality television is here for everyone. And we're depending on you to call us and become a member of 9PBS right now. Let's go back over to Marianne, and she's going to tempt you with those fabulous thank you gifts.
Well, and it is so easy to join us as well, because when you join us as a sustaining member at $12 a month, you not only get one ticket to Donnie Bash in June, you get 2 tickets to Donnie Bash, plus you get the new 9PBS mug. So that's a great deal. There really isn't a better deal than that. And you know, there's only one Donnie Bash this year, so you don't want to miss out. And by the way, being June 9th, it's right before Father's Day weekend. And what a great way to give a great gift to your dad. And why not go with him? I mean, this is a perfect time to go. And you know what? The folks from Donnybrook and Donnie Bash just love seeing their favorites there. And if you've never been to Donnie Bash, you don't know what you're missing. We don't want you to miss out on that opportunity. So once again, as a sustaining member at $12 a month, you'll get 2 tickets to Donnie Bash on that June 9th. That's a Thursday evening at the Sheldon Concert Hall. You'll also get the 9PBS mug. And you can also, if you just want one ticket or you would like the mug, it's your choice at a one-time contribution of $75 for that membership. Both memberships, though, come with 9 magazines for the full year of your membership. You'll also have access to 9PBS Passport. It's a great extensive library of shows that you can watch anytime, anywhere. But be sure and join us right now.